Praise the sun, brothers. Welcome back. Some Palo Monsanto this time around, changing it up a bit. So, with anything in life, we have to make decisions. We are usually stagnant if we don't, and that changes things. What we need to be able to do is to change things. Guys, we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. As cliche as that sounds, internet buzzword, whatever, but guys, it's the truth. And it's a truth that still speaks very loud in the world today. All right, you guys, so we're kicking off another weekend, enjoying the sun, and everybody's doing their own thing. It's going to be a good time. Figured I would start us off right for the weekend with just how everybody's doing on the social media detox. We are on week 3, you guys. Be the change. So far, updates on the challenge. I've been doing very well. Been a lot less distracted. I haven't been feeling so peer pressure to get into my social media so much. You know, I've been getting a lot more done. On a side note, I finished my book. King, Warrior, Magician, and Lover. Phenomenal book. If you guys have not read this yet, or at least listened to it, I highly recommend it. And fun fact, I'm actually going to be going through it again. I love it that much. The material is just a gold mine. That's all I can really say, especially for masculinity and embodying those archetypes. As for one of the books I've been working on the side, though, I'm going to go ahead and start reading this for the next couple of weeks. Been reading this for the last couple of days. Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Excellent book. I highly recommend you guys get a copy. Dr. Batmanghelidij really knew what he was talking about between the importance of having daily water and balancing out your salt in your system. So, check it out. You know, guys, in this day and age, we're so used to having apps in our phones 24/7. Let's just think about this for a second, though. Like, how useful these apps really are. You know? God, we use them day in and day out for every single little thing, almost. We haven't really come to a point to that yet, but I mean, damn near. It's insane. They make the phone too useful. They make it too damn useful. I heard that on a podcast once. Too damn useful. You can't even go anywhere out in the world without having this device with you. It's that useful. And so it's just like thinking back in history what we had before all this came into play, before having these devices. So let me pose this question to you guys. What would happen if we gave it up overnight? Like, just that one question. Leave me a comment down below and tell me what your guys' thoughts would be. Say we gave up the phones overnight, and the internet, for that matter. You know what would happen? So I'll give you my answer. We would probably go back to the way things were in general. Using paper, maps, walkie-talkies, radio sets, things like that, things of that nature. A lot of our conveniences would probably go away as far as the internet's concerned, but say we kept our power, electricity, just without the internet. I think within about 2 weeks, we'd see a lot of social anxiety and a lot of mental health issues go away. I mean, do you guys remember burner phones, track phones? I mean, those were the things that we used beforehand, before we had this, before we had, screens in our hands. Back where you literally had a phone where you had to dial, like press buttons versus just tapping a screen. you know? That was the original cell phone. That itself, the flip phones, the sliders, those were the original cell phones. Before we basically had a small computer in our pocket. Okay, so here's one for you. Do they even make maps anymore? Do you know how to read a map still? Dude, it's been a while since I've actually asked for a map at a gas station when I've been traveling. Okay? Like, man, honestly, I would say if you can, maps are going to go extinct. Save your maps. I don't care how old they are. Save them. Save them. I don't know. I just got this. I got this idea. Just save them. They're still useful, even though they'll need to be updated and such like that, or whatever it gets updated in the near future, 10, 20 years from now. But dude, save them. You never know what could happen, especially with like an EMP strike. Think about that. Then what are you gonna do? With no phone, no electricity. That's a situation you do not want to be in. But my grandparents, despite us having GPS systems and Google Maps, I remember that, um, like around the 2010s era, we'll just say that they were still using maps to get out to old sites here in my home state. I mean, they're useful. They really are useful, especially if there's no mile markers and things like that. So save your maps. Let's also just think about this for a second too. Living off the land. It's making a comeback. Gardening, back there. Gardening, agriculture, farming, all of that stuff. Having livestock, like literally having livestock. Whoa, they're coming for me. Anyway, before we were distracted, gardening. Did one last summer. It's coming back. I got a lot of cleanup to do on it. It's been raining a lot though too, so I've just been wanting the plants to get what they need, and so I haven't really touched it that much. But we'll see what I can grow this year. So, and guys, just even a small garden, potted plants, dude, you're teaching yourself a skill like what we've talked about for the challenge. Like that in and of itself, that gives you an asset. That's more food for you, despite what you have to get at the grocery store, for example. There's a problem solved right there. You're not going to go hungry. And I think it's beautiful that it's making a comeback. People wanting to live off the land, grow their own food, all of that stuff. And it's important. That's how we survived. That's how we lived our daily lives, day in and day out, on the regular. You know? It's so important to grow your own food. Know what you're planting, know what you're growing, giving it the right nutrients and minerals that it needs, including animals, taking care of the livestock to make sure that they can grow big and strong, so that way you can take them to the slaughter later. We need meats like that in our lives, in our diet. It's how we were made. We were made to eat that stuff. Everything else now, it's all fake. It's all processed. It's all fake food. Until we get back to that, we won't ever really truly be healthy, I feel like. We got to get it as fresh as possible. We got to keep the hormones, the chemicals out of our food, out of our animals, so that way we can take care of ourselves. So going back to the apps, you literally got the choice to choose to use that app or not. You do not have to use it. Think about that. You give it power when you're using it. You give the subscriptions, the streaming platforms power when you're using those apps. And it just fuels the fire continually. We don't need all these apps, every single app, every single social media app. We really don't need any of it. We've gotten by well and good for so many years without it. It's a convenience, is what a customer told me one day at the store. How everything's just so useful. We had, again, the reason why I'm having this conversation with you guys is because I had this conversation this week with a customer I was helping. And it all depends on your conveniences. Literally, we can link everything up to our cars now via Bluetooth because of the phones. We go back to old cars, startup engines. There's no hookups, no Bluetooth or any of that. So that's the biggest difference for those modern conveniences, and why it's just better without it, I would say. Too much noise. There's enough noise in the world today. The last thing you need is for it to constantly follow you, you know? And so, one way we get rid of the noise is when we're not constantly being distracted by our notifications and things like that. But just remember that, you guys. With every app that you access and that you pay attention to, you give it power. You give it power. You give that algorithm its power. When you take it away, you have the power now. Simple. One thing I want to touch on too is just how our perception of love has been changed because of the internet. And you know what it is? It's porn. Simple. Our perception of love was changed by that since the early years of the internet, even. Since the early years of the internet. So, you guys, like, media suggests it to you subconsciously. You're not conscious of it when you are seeing it on the posts and the big booties and whatever on Facebook and all of that. But it gets suggested to you subconsciously, and you don't realize it, but we're being fed that every single day, especially when you're spending a lot of time on these apps. And so it becomes hedonistic. It makes you hedonistic. Okay? We're constantly thinking about this, you know? And it's really changed our dynamics and our relationships. I mean, in different nations worldwide. I think the only place where they wouldn't even be affected by this is in third world countries where they can't even get a phone or the internet itself, you know? But it changes, and it has changed, our perception of love. It's just not the same anymore. And I mean, it's just, again, it's best to get out of your head, get away from the screens, get off the internet, per se, and to take that power away. Stop looking at it. You're not going to objectify people anymore. And a lot of your mental health problems, too, with that being an issue, will go away. Simple. Cut and dry solution, really. So give it up, guys. Alright, you guys, that'll wrap up the video. Thank you for joining me. This will wrap up the talk. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Still strong, going strong with the No Social Media Challenge. Still reading my 10 pages a day. I hope that you guys are too. Or working on any of the other tasks that we have. That being our main one for the challenge for the month. And if anything, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Peace.